Welcome to my channel. I'm Maria, and today I wanted to talk a little bit about what's taking place energetically. This is an energy update. We have a lot of intense energy on the earth right now, and we are all feeling it in some way, shape, or form. Part of what is on the main stage is Mars going retrograde, okay? And so when, we look at the energy of Mars, Mars is very, very combative. It's very fiery, right? It's driven through the sign of Aries. So it can be a very hot time, okay? Um, and that's the action of fire. Fire is hot and it's quick, it's swift. So, what we are going to start noticing now is with this swift, quick, hot, intense energy coming up, we're going to start seeing more shaking loose from third dimension, okay? And this really is affecting mostly the third dimensional realm. The reason for that is because we're still waking up those who are sleeping. We are not personally responsible for waking up those who are sleeping. We're responsible for doing our work, and through doing our work, others around us begin to see something different, notice our peace and calm within us, and then suddenly want to understand why we're feeling that way, and maybe begin to take a deeper look. For others who are not awake, they're going to go into some kind of a crisis, right? And that could be, feeling the effects of the rioting taking place. It could be an illness or a disease setting in, or a loss or something like that. Whatever is going to get the heart open, because that's what this is all about. Ascension is about opening the heart, coming together in unity, and sharing and caring with each other, okay? If we look at the depth of what ascension is about, ascension is about no one being left out, no one feeling like they don't have enough. And look at the earth today. Look at how many people are homeless, or how many countries are in lack, right? Where they can't even feed themselves. They have no productivity. And so ascension is shifting all of that. It's changing all of that. It's bringing us into unity consciousness, meaning where if we see somebody that's struggling, we help them. If we see somebody that doesn't have something, food, whatever, we help them with food or whatever, or give them some money to help them get the food that they need, right? That's what this is all about. So what's happening now is, through this intense energy, for those who are not awake, it's going to start to shake things up, heat things up within them, make it more difficult for them in their reality. And that's going to either create an opportunity for them to expand their way of thinking and see what is taking place, and decide that they want to choose something else, or it's going to make them feel like they don't have a choice and they have to fight their way through, and they will continue to stay and anchor further into the third dimensional reality, right? And for the rest of us that are awake, we're going to start to see that separation, that bifurcation, really becoming obvious to us, okay? So if you followed my work for the last few years, you'd see in January of this year specifically, I wrote about the January 13th shift that we had, where there was the bifurcation, the actualization of that physicalized shift that showed us more of 3D being very physical in its appearance, and recognizing where we could recognize being in 4D, right? Because now we were awake or awakened. And so more perceptions, understanding, consciousness, lending itself to the higher timelines, right? That there are other choices that we can make, which is 4D. When we start to wake up, that's that, oh, I'm still dipping my toe in 3D, but I have now a new awareness, right? That's 4D, presents that. Not in 5D yet, but 4D consciousness is seeing the reality of what is and then has to make changes to accommodate, to be in the higher timelines. And so we were seeing more of that back then. And then as we started getting into June, for those of you that did your work through me in June, you know that we had very heavy discussions surrounding everything that was playing out on the earth, talking about the experience of navigating these intense energies and how it was going to begin to ramp up toward the end of the year as all of these cosmic alliances, planetary actions, whatever you want to call them, such as Mars retrograding, were going to have an impact on us, okay? And so now we're seeing that playing out. And again, it's tapping into past wounding. And so for those that have not done their work, where the rest of us might have been watching as we were recognizing the abuse of power starting to play out back in October 2017, where it became very, very visible through certain things that were taking place on the earth, right? The Me Too movement, Hugh Hefner passing away. There was nobody that was going to take over Playboy, which was very derogatory toward women, although women allowed themselves to play in that role. Okay, there was definitely a duality going on there. So we started to see it back then in 2017 as it started to come to the forefront with, you know, the accusations through Me Too and all of that, right? Abuse of power, that patriarchal abuse of power. Now we go into the beginning of the year and through COVID, and we're seeing again, the isolation, the restriction. It's like your father sending you to your room, right? That patriarchal, don't come out. You know, you have to quarantine, all this other stuff, right? So we've been through that, and now we're seeing it yet again with patriarchal abuse of power in the higher aspects of our day-to-day reality through the government, where what they're you know, taking away, so to speak, right? So and that is, for a lot of people, very, very difficult in areas that are very restrictive. You know, I live in New York on Long Island, and that's very restrictive. People in California also experiencing very restrictive ways of living out there. They're still not able to go to a beauty salon or get their nails done or anything like that, whereas that has opened up here, but we're still being mandated to wear the masks. And, you know, that scenario, that dynamic is very, very uncomfortable for being in a mask for me for 2 hours sitting and getting my nails done. So, you know, still restriction, we're feeling that restriction, and that's what this dynamic is bringing up. And so for those that are not yet awake, it's going to tap into the final round of their shadow work for them that they may not have done yet, okay? And the shadow work for them is going to be really surrounding their prior timelines, and there'll be a bazillion of those, where they have not done any work to heal or clear the abuser aspects, which is very karmic in nature, okay? Because every single one of us on the earth has been an abuser in a lifetime or many, and every single one of us on the earth plane has also played the role of the one abused in a lifetime or many, okay? So we're all going through this, we're all feeling this, we're all navigating this experience together. And those that are recognizing it and having the awareness or holding the higher consciousness, and those that are not yet recognizing it and not having the awareness and acting out, are the ones that are still needing to clear those timelines from their field, right? So let's talk about that for just a second, because timelines have been a big topic, and I just wanted to give you guys some insight on how timelines work, right? Part of our work that we're doing is in dream state. And so when we look at timelines in the sense of dream state, and we're clearing in dream state, you could be waking up in the morning, like myself, and coming back from an awareness that you've had 15 different dreams. And that's not the reality. The reality is that it was all simultaneously happening at once, because it's all that bazillion timelines that are being healed and integrated into this now moment here, right now, where your consciousness resides, okay? So every time we have dreams that are upsetting, that are frightening, that make us feel unstable or uncertain, we have to let that go. We can't focus on those dreams. We have to release them, because there have been codes that have been activated on the earth now, the next set of codes that are specifically targeting dreams, right? And so part of it is allowing us to dream again in living color, to do a better job of clearing and healing those timelines. Another part of that is allowing us to dream, which means to visualize, to daydream about the experiences that we want to have, as opposed to what we're actually experiencing now. So it's really shifting our ability to tap into everything that we're wanting in our reality, as opposed to what we already have, okay? And so there's also new codes coming in, and I could see it, I feel it, for this unity consciousness that is more along the lines of awakening people to caring about each other. And I'm seeing it more and more, okay? But what I want to focus on more here is this shadow side coming up. And so a lot of this is playing out in those who are not yet fully awake and maybe struggling within themselves for things that they have not cleared, okay? And we're going to see this heighten and intensify. So I want to remind everyone who is either being confronted now, or it will be confronted shortly, with someone who is playing out the narcissist role in your reality, or perhaps, playing a difficult, challenging role for you, whether it's your boss or your relationship or whatever, right? And look at that and say, what is this presenting? Because everybody is a mirror for us, okay? So they're showing up to show us something. If somebody is showing up and they are all about control, then you have to look and see where maybe you are maybe being too controlling and not being allowing enough, or they could be showing up controlling, and that's something that you don't have enough of in your life, right? So we have to look at it and say, what are we being presented with? What is this showing us in our reality? How can I take this information in and then work with it in order to make my reality a better reality, a better aligned, okay? So next, what I want to talk about is a question that I had yesterday from a good friend of mine, Bobby Allison, and we were talking about, or actually chatting about, the consciousness and third dimension and how this is all playing out. And she asked me, if our physical bodies are still in a third dimensional reality, how do we shift away? How do we move away from what is taking place on the earth at this time? Because it's all around us, and it's almost impossible to kind of look away and separate yourself from everything that is playing out in our reality. And the answer would be this. So right here, right now, that version of you that's showing up, that's tuning into this video, that's watching right now, is a consciousness that is most likely a consciousness residing just below another 1, 2, or 3. I mean, it could be more than that, higher consciousness, right? So something that I usually refer to as the future self, okay? And the higher self consciousness is the higher self just above the personality of you, right? So when my first higher self came in, it gave me a name. They don't always do that. So if you don't get a name for your higher self, don't get upset in any way. It's just that I've been doing this work for so many eons that I was very tuned in to receive that information, right? So when Aluna came in and let me know that she was Aluna, I started to tune into that energy because I could feel it. I had a name for it. And I started to understand that that energy was just a level beyond or above where my personality resides. Okay. And then if we think about the ego is lower, below the personality. Okay. So we could say that I am the stability of what would be water. Okay. And then my consciousness, or the higher consciousness, would be above the water, just like an iceberg, right? And then what's below the water would be the ego, with the subconscious, unconscious mind below the water, okay? So we have to look at it and understand that our subconscious, unconscious mind is what's feeding the consciousness most of the time, because that is driven off the ego. That's how we've been trained. We came in here knowing to do that. And that's all we've known because of the veil that we've had in place, not being able to connect to the higher self. So when we look at it from that perspective, then we have to say that if we want to get in touch with the higher self, we need to go higher. We need to go up. We can't go down. So it takes a little bit of work to be in that practice, right? Now, here's the work. In this reality that we're experiencing, in this movie that is playing out on the earth plane, we are seeing, because many of us are not experiencing the very physicalized stuff that's showing up, like the rioting and all of that sort of stuff, right? But we are seeing it, and we have a choice to see it or not see it, okay? Now, yes, it is in a third dimension, and our bodies are of the earth, and the earth is shedding the third dimension. And as we're stepping up into fifth dimensional consciousness, our job here is, yes, our bodies are here, and it would appear that our bodies are in third dimension. However, enough light has anchored into Gaia that we can now shift up frequencies, because everything is a frequency, dimensions of frequencies. We can shift up frequencies, and in shifting up those frequencies, tune out of the lower frequencies that we don't want to participate in anymore, okay? So in other words, every time we call up something that is tragic, that's awful, that's happened, we're tuning into that lower level, okay? And every time somebody would say, isn't that awful? Look at just what just happened. How awful is that? I would say, yes, that is awful. And they would say to me, well, don't you feel upset about it? And I would say, no, I don't have an attachment to it because my heart is already open. So I understand the soul's journey as it relates to what transpired in that situation, right? And so from my perspective, that tragedy happened. The person that's asking me how I feel about it is obviously very upset about it. And in that moment of being upset, their heart needed to be open more. So they were the one that tuned into that tragedy, not me. Because I'm already in that place. I'm already a placeholder, a space holder, looking from the higher perspective of what the soul is here to do. Everything is based on soul contracts, right? So that person that is now upset, that is asking me about that event, is having an experience that's creating emotion, that's making them emotional, that is opening and expanding their heart center. That's why all of this is happening. Now it's created another level or another layer of awakeness for them. Okay? For me, I don't tune into it because I don't need to see it. I recognize what is playing out. That is an experience I am choosing not to have. I'm choosing not to tune into that stuff. And those souls that are tuned into it, that are experiencing, that are playing out, I hold immense amounts of gratitude for them because they have chosen through their soul contract to come in and experience that and participate in that, right? But like the rest of us, they could choose to ascend their consciousness and step away from it so that they don't have to participate in it, because participating in it just keeps it festering, it just keeps it going, it just fuels that fire. If every single person on the earth suddenly woke up and stepped away from all of the chaos and said, I'm choosing not to participate in chaos anymore, I'm choosing not to participate in it, all of the nonsense that's taking place, I'm choosing not to buy into all of these fabricated stories, I'm choosing to see beyond the illusion, I'm choosing to walk away from watching the news for 24 hours a day, I'm choosing to walk away from all of it and just be and just go on about living my life. If every single person on the earth plane did that, there would be no chaos, there would be no third dimension, because it would be healed in the fact that everybody walks away. So we have a choice. Even though our physicalized experience looks like it's in the third dimension from one perspective, it's really not. Those who are seeing the rainbow light in the sky, I could tell you, my reality has become a very visualized experience. I look up in the sky, I see the iridescent pastel rainbow all day long, all day long. It's not a shock to me anymore. It's everywhere I look, okay? The sky is covered with it. So my experience for me is telling me that I am in the 5D timeline and higher, right? I've experienced 7D. We are capable of experiencing up to 7D right now. So it's a choice. Are we choosing to perceive ourselves as having to bear witness to the third dimensional distortion that's playing out, because that is the consciousness that we are still finding ease expressing ourselves through, because it is what is most known to us? Or are we going to choose the higher state of consciousness that brings us into the higher dimensions, that allows us to look away from the movie that is playing out and choose something different? So let me take this one step further, okay, for those that are unsure. So if you have never watched the movie Wag the Dog, it's from 1997, I want you to find it and I want you to watch it, because it's a movie about the president having an affair, as best I can remember, having an affair, and the opposition, the opposing candidate finds out about the affair and he's about to go public with it, and the president's staff needs to cover that story up. Okay, this is 1997 now, mind you. Okay, they were already showing us how they're doing this all. So in that movie, the president's staff hires this company that says, well, let's have a diversion. Let's divert the public attention away from the story of the affair by creating a war. So let's create a fake war. All wars are fake, right? Do your research. If you don't know that, do your research. Let's create a fake war, and we will trick the people, trick the public into thinking that we are at war, which will then take the focus away from anything else that could possibly hurt your opportunity to be reelected. And that's what they did. So they hired a studio in California or wherever it was, in the middle of the desert, whoever, and they faked this war. And they hired actors and they hired key players and everything. Now keep this in mind, and I'm going to stretch your imagination a little bit, right? But when we're seeing the news on TV, we know that, or those of us that are awake know that that's fabrication. That's Mockingbird. It's got its own narrative. It runs through every single radio, TV station, which is why people are so brainwashed into thinking that that's truth, because it plays on every single television station, right? News reporters are actors. They're not really news reporters anymore. But anyway, and so if you think about it from this perspective, what's to say that those video clips that you're seeing showing up on your social media feeds, whether it's Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, aren't some kind of pre-recorded clip, right, with actors, no matter who they were hired by, it doesn't really matter, right, to create the experience, to create fear. And so now we are all under the impression that it's not safe anywhere in the country. Meanwhile, doing the work that I do, I get constant reports from people all over the world, right? Because I have clients in Europe and everything. Yes, I am international, in case you didn't know. I have clients in Europe and everything, and those clients are letting me know that in Europe, in most of Europe, this is already done. It's already ended. COVID is already over, and they're not experiencing what we're experiencing, okay? And then there are places in the United States, I think Idaho is one of them, that masks are no longer required, okay? And you know, Idaho is not New York and not California. It's not in the main news, but yet it hasn't come to the forefront that there's no masks required there and things are almost back to normal. There's many states in the United States that are pretty much back to normal again. So I want to challenge you and to look at all of this, right? And I will go back to the premise of the Truman movie, The Truman Show, right, with Jim Carrey, and say that if you start to look at every single thing that is playing out in this reality, what is reality? What is it really? Think about that. What you're seeing, is it what you're actually experiencing, what you're actually there witnessing, or is it coming through to you in some way, shape, or form? Okay, so I want to challenge you on that, because some are experiencing extreme states of fear and overwhelm due to what they're seeing playing out, and that's the purpose for that running through your social media feed. Okay, that's the purpose, to keep you in fear, even those of you that are awake, okay, because it'll keep you doubting yourself. It will make you doubt yourself, okay? And in this very intensified, very chaotic energy, that for some might be a good thing, to keep you locked into doubt and fear, right? But that's not where you want to be. You want to be confident and you want to feel strong going forward, all right? So that's very important to have that awareness. I have a friend in California who's in her upper 70s, I think 78 or 79. And every time I call her, she lives in the Santa Ana area in an amazing condo complex that has orange trees and lemon trees and a like a garden setting with a stream that runs through the whole complex. It's quite amazing, right? She showed me pictures of it and taking me on walk with her so that I could see where she lives. And she used to live here on Long Island, and she lives out there now. And every time I talk to her, which is once a week, just to make sure she's okay, I ask her, I said, how are you doing? Because I'm in the news and, you know, on my social media feed, I'm seeing like all of these crazy things. And she's like, no, I'm good. Nothing going on here. Everything is pretty good. Well, except for the fires. Okay. And yeah, we know what that's about. But so, you know, from her perception, everything is okay because she's tuned out of all the drama and the nonsense. So it's not impacting her. Do you see what I'm saying? Do you see the illusion? The illusion is the belief system that we hold. If you believe the illusion that's playing out, you're going to get more of that. That's where these energies come into play. So now going back to the energies in this energy report, right? This energy report is bringing you awareness of the intensity of the energies, and where you place your attention, that's what's going to show up in your reality. So the more you give something negative your attention, you're going to get more of that. That's just natural law of attraction, right? And then we could tune into law of creation, and creation plays a part in that because we're creating it all. So if you're tuning into the negative stuff and holding fear, you're going to get more of that because you're choosing to see that, and then more is going to flood in. Wherever you're holding your focus, wherever you're holding your attention, wherever you're holding or directing your intention, that's where you're going to get more of. Okay? So the best thing that we could do now, because I don't see these energies slowing down, I see this intensifying because we have another major shift. We have some huge, mega huge energies coming in December that are going to be incredibly strong. Okay. Is it the event? No, because I don't subscribe to one particular event, because solar flashing is happening now. Everybody is on an individual timeline. You're already in your own event. I'm in my own event. And then collectively, we are experiencing all of this, which is, you know, the event playing out. But I don't believe there's going to be any one particular event. That's just the way that I read the timelines. I'm not seeing that, okay? And I do work the Akash every night in dream state. I can wake up remembering that I'm coming back from Gaia's Living Library. So I want to say to you that if you're holding fear, you have to shift that, okay? And you have to be really clear, and you have to anchor into the higher timeline where you just know everything is going to be okay, because this is not really real. We are going through, you know, a test, if you will, to see if our human can withstand the up-leveling of our consciousness through this all. All right. Very, very important. So we want to tune into the higher timeline. As this unfolds, I will continue to bring you more. I am feeling that we're going to have a bumpy road going all the way through December, January, December mostly. And so the best thing that we could do is to tune away, tune out of, right? Tune away, tune out of, let go of the old timelines. They do not factor in anymore. We don't have to play into them. We could see them as the movie that they are. And especially if it's not affecting you and your reality in this moment. I had somebody ask me yesterday, if I go to work and I go home, and I go to work and I go home, and I go to work and I go home, how, and everything in my life is happy and calm and not, you know, in chaos. How am I being of service or supportive to, you know, this process, everything that's happening on the earth? And my answer to that is through your vibration. You're anchoring these massive light codes frequencies through your personal being. So we have to look at that and we have to say, okay, I'm doing my part by just being. I'm doing my part by resting my body, by allowing my system to upgrade, allowing my system to amplify, letting go of lower dimensional words, right? Symptoms. We want to get rid of that word. That word is just, ugh. Every time I hear somebody go, oh, it's an ascension symptom, my whole body cringes, right? It's an ascension upgrade. They're upgrades. Your body is upgrading. We're in rainbow light upgrades right now. We're in rainbow light body is what we're going through, right? So we're upgrading our frequency within our electromagnetic field. We're upgrading our DNA. And when that happens, everything starts to change. Everything starts to shift. Okay? So we are upgrading. Start using that word. Start using higher vibrational words. Let go of lower vibrational words. Let go of the things that don't resonate with you anymore. Okay? And allow yourself to be in the higher timelines. And so if you're wanting more support, I have a series that's an 8-week series. We already started. We're 3 classes in. We have 5 classes to go. And then because of the nature of everything taking place, I am certain that I will just make this an ongoing event, and we will just wind this out until maybe February, until everything kind of calms down so that I could give those of you wanting support. If you buy on an individual class basis, it's $20 a class. If you buy at the block rate, it's a little cheaper. I think I had the block rate for, I can't remember, it's on my website. But if you're interested in the classes, I would say tune into the classes. The classes are support. We talk about this stuff. I actually do one-on-one dialogue with you in those classes. It's like having a session with me, but not. You're hearing what other people are dealing with, and then you're hearing me work through it with them too. So it's a powerful, powerful group of people. The gathering is amazing. It's a great place if you find that you are struggling and you need some additional support. Okay, so that's it for today. Stay in the higher timelines. Look away from the lower stuff playing out. I do not tune into it. Yes, I make posts on Twitter and Instagram and my blog. Here's the thing. If you find yourself desiring to tune out and you can't go on to Instagram to see my sharings, you can't go on to Twitter to see my sharings because even just going into it bothers you, I get it. I don't like the energy there anymore either, and I almost can't go on. I am sending out newsletters, so please go to my website. On my homepage on the lower right-hand side, there is a place for you to sign up for my newsletter, and then I will be sharing all of this through my newsletter. And that's another way for us to stay in touch, okay? And if there's something that you're wanting support with or wanting some kind of assistance with, please drop me a comment below and ask your question, and I will do my best to do a video on it, write on it. So let me know how you're doing, okay? I love you guys. I care about you. I want to make sure that you guys are doing your best, staying in the higher timelines. That's why I make these videos. I thank you for sticking all the way through this to the end. This one, I haven't made one in a couple of weeks because I was going through some upgrading, some shifting, and I couldn't write and I couldn't do a video either. So, so it's been a while, so I've missed you. And just drop me a comment below. Let me know how you're doing. Let me know if this is helping you in any way. All right, guys, I love you. I will see you soon. Bye-bye.